He said, let him apologize and will never complain. How can I apologize for something I never did? The third, listen. If I have anything against them, I will not have positive stance with them under my own jurisdiction. His uncle, his cousin, security, he was chased by security and I took him, protected him. Let me finish. And now he's alive. And I asked Mahmoud, his brother, for witness. This is a positive thing. When the matter is falsehood, the other thing is, if I have anything against them, until this now I don't have any animosity against them. A year ago, we give him a wife for his brother. So we're marrying from each other. There's no animosity. They don't. They come and visit. I go visit. His brother came and visited me. Even the farms we share responsibilities. So this is my relationship. How can I apologize for something I did not? Third, this woman did not come to me. I never went to her. How is this? Yes, we understood. Yes, we understood. Yes, if it's a question, good. He talked about my farms were subject to the same thing. The order when it came said all the farms, including farms of those who were in the party. My two farms were plowed and 2 houses were demolished. So don't blame me. Our relationship with them, that's true. We have good relations. We have no animosity. But when I stand here, I remember that I swore. He answered that question. Yes, he answered, and that's over. That's over. I'm not blaming him wrongly. Yes, he answered. Yes, I asked. Yes. Even his brother. I'm so surprised. Does he have a question? I have a few questions. He is a media person, so he has memory, and he also has he knows how to talk. And when he went to the party headquarters, he said he saw Barzan in the party and the hall. Had he seen Barzan before that? No. How did he know that he was Barzan? He was the same person that I saw in the intelligence with people around him, and he was the person in charge. I saw him in the intelligence, and I saw him, and I also read his book, the 7, but the party was before. So that was before the intelligence, as he claims. So how well, what was he putting on? I don't remember. I don't remember. I couldn't tell. It was it was an overwhelming situation, so I wasn't paying attention to close. Who was with him? Military people. Do you remember them? No, I don't know who they were. I could only tell, I could only recognize the people who were arrested. I didn't know the officials. He says that I saw people heavily armed, and I don't know Barzan except through his book. How could he distinguish between those people with the weapons, and he could tell that that was Barzan in particular? I think he answered that question. In intelligence, he says he came and with some people, and he asked who I was, brother of who, and he kicked me. What was the time? I don't remember, because we were. He means night, day. It's during the day, but I don't have a watch, and the time we don't tell. You don't see the sun. You don't see sun. You don't see everything, and we don't have a watch. What was he wearing? Barzan, what was he wearing? Ask somebody with fever. So how does he remember those details? And these things he does not. This witness, Your Honor, he remembers when he wants to remember, and he doesn't recall when he is being questioned. I have a question. I have a request to make in the name of the witness, that this witness comes back after the arrest without his notes, and I would like for the courtroom to Your Honor, I can throw my notes and I can answer any question. We have an article about this in the court, in the rules of procedure. If the witness
تؤدي شهادة شفاها، ويجوز الإذن للشاهد بالاستعانة بمذكرات مكتوبة إذا اقتضت طبيعة الشهادة.
Your Honor, this is rules and procedure. This is Article 61 of rules of procedures. Another question. The name of God most merciful. Mr. Ali, he was 14 years old. Does he have any experience? Did he have any experience about airplanes, helicopters, and how they take off and so on? When he entered his village, he said that the helicopters were moving in an unusual manner. What did he mean by unusual? First, we were not a base. He means when you were 14 years old. When you were you on a helicopter before? Do you know what's normal and what's not normal? You said not normal. You ask children, they know. So they know how it flies normally. Your Honor, what do you mean when you say unusual or not normal? It was low at the time of the president coming to jail, and we're not used to seeing low flying. And it wasn't one or two. How did you know that this was police? Yes. How can he know that this was army and this is popular army, this is security. This is although at least three parts wear the same uniform. Yeah, I mentioned that the Popular Army had its own uniform, the Presidential Guard, also the intelligence and the security. We know them in person in the jail. Usually how do you know that they were intelligence? Did they have a badge? They used to have more luxurious cars. So he saw a Mercedes, it's intelligence. Even in intelligence, when you get from the guard, they tell you that they are intelligence. If we had, for example, a policeman, the police or the officer, we had an officer who's a lieutenant, Mahmoud, he was arrested for a few days. I think the president remembers him, and he released his family. This lieutenant used to call the I'm very happy about your memory of as a 14-year-old. In his testimony and his brother's testimony, there's a complete repetition. It's almost it looks like they studied together. He and his brother. He mentioned that there's no medical treatment, no food in the intelligence. If he had infection with his friends, and they were treated with injection. So in any time, under normal conditions, 3 days in a hospital, even in the best of the hospital, he needs more than 3 days. So 3 days were enough to treat somebody, so that means there was medical care. I was talking. What's your question? He says that they didn't ask him what he was eating. He thought of that as medical care. The court will evaluate that testimony. But our role is to bring the irregularities in the testimony. For example, he talks about abuse of the women and wearing and wrapping the infants in a newspaper. Were you present when this happened? No, I was in a different sector. I would pass through rooms where, do you see them, how they have during the delivery? No, I would also saw the infants being thrown. The witness has specialties. He understands about psychology, airspace, talks about mental situations, psychology, and he also named people who are suffering. I don't think this is a specialty of a person of 14 years. So you specialized in psychology after 14? My question is, these comments you present in the defense, this is a coached testimony. He knows what the name by name, the dates. He and his brother repeated the same sentence, that it is mentioned in your files. Is it normal that your file of the president of the court is available to the witness? He reminded you that and he seems to know your file that you have. And his brother says, he says that this information is available in your file. Through the investigative judge, not through you. How does he know what's in your file? The case. He and his brother repeated it more than one time. Even his brother repeated 3 times that what's in your file, as if you have personal relationship. They are so comfortable. And I'm used to courts, and I see how comfortable the witnesses are with you. Does he know that? Yes, the investigative file. Does he know that? Yes, he knows that this goes. Will take 10 off the street. Take off the street people, and if they know all of these procedures, then we're wrong. I'm noticing that the prosecutor witnesses are considering themselves as if they are members of the court. The court allows him to talk and allows the defense to talk. Have you noticed, Your Honor, that the witness takes the time of 10 times the time of anybody else? Anybody wants to talk from the defendants or us, we would be given. When the defendant has his role, his turn, he will be allowed to talk about the scope of the case for as long as he wishes. Now, I said we have two things. Examination is one thing, and comments is another thing. Now, and the defendant's statements are another thing. In the cross-examination, I would like that it is clear to everybody, the cross-examination are specific questions addressed to the witness. As to the evaluating the testimony and your comments, your criticism, and what is related to the defense, that's something we will listen to during the defendant's testimony and your defense. Your Honor, what I said, I would like, I know that you will make your own evaluation. But I'd like to draw your attention to what I saw. Maybe you did not pay attention to. Just to draw your attention. He knows the file, he knows. Yes, you can include that in your defense. There's no question that you need to answer. Can I? Yes. Can I appoint a lawyer to be an Iraqi? Can I? Yes. Does the court allow me to? Yes, of course. Thank you. Another question? Yes. I have 2 points. The witness said for the first time he said that the fires, did he see in Fayha say he says that Mun'im Ahmed Salman, they were showing up on the Fayha channel that they participated in the attacking the motorcade. Yes, Faris was the one. He said, Your Honor, I would like for this court to get from Fayha channel this footage of the person. Your Honor, I would like the archives of the Iraq channel where Taha Yasir Ramadan was present in the Dujil during the planning of the farms. This was an assassination attempt during a time of war in 1982, and the judge issuing a decree. If what he says is true, if it's true that I signed when Clinton in 98 400 cruise missiles to Baghdad and killed children, and as a judge I'm being tried. The verse above your head says you have to be just. 400 cruise missiles come by Clinton, and he's not asked and he's not tried, and I am lawfully when I am a judge issuing an order, I'm being tried. There's no question to answer. I suffer. I have. Bring a chair for him to sit down. Your Honor, we heard what Mr. Ali said. You gave him about 2.5 hours or so. He's been talking about those fabricated issues, imaginary issues, all false. All of it is fabrication, 100% of fabrication. I'm surprised how a person claims to be a believer and a Muslim, and to put the swear and to say untrue things. No. Is there a question? Your Honor, I told you in the last session that you accepted to try history, and you, the people are with you.
Now, we seem to have lost sound there from the continuing coverage of the Saddam Hussein trial. This happened.
We don't allow. He said the treatment was inhumane, and now the defendant is slandering the witness, and we ask that you are biased, you are biased, you are prejudiced. Your Honor, when he says that this is an inhumane treatment, or he says so and so is inhumane, there's no difference. Mr. Scholar, you are all slandered. Your pages are all black. Your Honor, when I say that, when he says he was taken in bus cars that take about 50 people. He says they took us in a pickup box, and he says that his brother gives all the names, the code names and the true names of the.
Sure.
ذكر أسماء نزار وصالح وجابر وواحد آخر إلى هذول كلهم الأسماء ما وردوا بالأسماء مع الأخوه بالمرة الأولى.
Well, as you can see there, we're having some slight problems, some difficulties with the video, the quality of the video coming to us, but please bear with us as the trial of Saddam Hussein continues.
هو ذكر أخوه ما قال إنه شفت جثث 7 كلاب جايفة. ها هو ذكر يقول
لا تعتدي على
لا
كيف سيدي ليسوا بكلاب كيف تعتدي على
Did you abuse the people?
هذول مجرمون.
People? These are criminals.
مجرمين دول مجرمين وأنت لو أنت كنت
If you were there instead of Awad al-Bandar, you would have taken the same measures. Go ahead with your questions. Don't hurt the witness and the prosecution. Have a seat. These are all contradictions. The other thing, the human treatment subject. As I told you earlier, I am not defending, but if that treatment they received, I would not acknowledge it, and I denounce it today until I am dead. This is in short another point. There are other points. We in the prison,
We've been following the trial of Saddam Hussein and his co-defendants in Baghdad over the last couple of hours. The trial, we understand, has just gone into recess. So let's go straight away to Baghdad and Anish Rahman, who's inside the courtroom. He joins us by phone. Anish, what's the latest there?
Funula, the judge just adjourned for a 1-hour lunch recess. Again, this day is moving quite slowly. We're on one witness so far, being cross-examined, as you see there, by the defendants, notably Barzan Hassan al-Takriti, the man on your screen. The reason he has been so visceral in his response to the witness is that the witness directly linked Barzan to the alleged atrocities in Dujjail, said that he was present at the time of interrogations, also present in one instance for the torture of his sister. So Barzan Hassan al-Takriti stood up and embarked on a diatribe of sorts, calling the witness names, had to be seated down by the judge himself, is then standing up and asking more direct questions. And again, this video is delayed about half an hour ago, and I'm not sure if it has come before you. Saddam Hussein did stand up. He spoke in very sort of quiet tones, much more subdued than we tend to see him as he embarks on diatribes, this time trying to clarify what the role of the prosecution essentially was. The chief prosecutor stood up and very forcefully established that the prosecutor was here to represent society and that Saddam, his concerns were sort of invalid. Saddam then just ceded and said that he would make more points later, and then we heard again from Barzan Hassan al-Takriti saying that if there's any document or evidence that links him to the alleged atrocities, he will accept responsibility, but also sort of challenging the prosecution to find better witnesses. One of the problems we've seen, and this is a witness that I spoke to some weeks ago, that interview that I conducted with this witness, Ali Haidari, actually came up in court. The defense lawyer saying that he, on CNN, had said he drove one of the shooters involved in the assassination attempt to the scene. That was incorrect. In the report, the witness that you see there on the bottom of your screen detailed another friend of the family driving his brother. But he has faced some tough questions from the defense as well as the defendants trying to pinpoint him on specifics, and this is something we've seen really throughout. These witnesses we should establish are called complaint witnesses, brought by the judge to establish essentially victim statements. They are not meant to bring direct links to the defendants and the alleged atrocities. That will come later. Witnesses to follow these complaint witnesses will be brought because they have relevant information about the case. So what they are doing, though, is taking someone who was 14 years old at the time, the defense, and trying to pinpoint them on specifics, discredit their memory, if you will. So again, we're in a 1-hour break. We expect the testimony of this witness to resume in an hour, and then we'll see how many more witnesses we get through today. Fanula?
Manish, we've seen in the last few minutes very spirited defence there from Barzan Al-Takriti. What has the judge's role been in this, in trying to contain the diatribes that we've heard to date occasionally during these proceedings?
Well, we saw the first defendant we heard from early in this session